You read the title of this upcoming lecture. What did you think? It says hold yourself accountable. And I know that those words carry a lot of heaviness to them. And we're talking about mindset a lot in this course because I think it is incredibly important. So let this be whatever you need this video to be, whether it's the kick in the pants of, I got to make sure that I am holding myself to account. I have dropped off too many times before. I'm going to make sure that I do this, and I'm going to put structures in place that make sure I don't fall off. Or this can just be a way to say that this is a tough journey and you're going to have reasons that you don't want to study, days that you do not feel into it, and very legitimate excuses for why you weren't able to do the things that you were doing. I was an athlete in college and there was a lot of willpower and work ethic and discipline, and sometimes that worked for me and sometimes it didn't. So I'm not trying to be that, tough coach of it's only going to work if you put the work in and all of those types of things. Because yeah, that's true. And if you're the type of person that benefits from that little bit of like, you got to make sure that you don't fall off here because you're the only one that's going to make this happen for you. Okay, fine. You can be hearing that. But what I mean by holding yourself accountable is just that there are a couple of little mental tricks that we can use that don't feel like force necessarily, but are going to make sure that you're not alone in this process, but also that you delay some gratification perhaps on other things if you need to do that while you're building your habit, which is going to be the hard part, right? When you're going from no study or whatever amount of study you came in on and you're trying to take it to the next level, it's going to feel a little hard sometimes. So finding ways to sort of work with your mindset and with your day-to-day kind of fluctuations is going to be the way this works the best. So the first thing I want to suggest is you can hold yourself accountable by talking about this process. Something that I did for myself that I'm really grateful that I did is I told people that I was going to be learning French. And their reactions were great. A lot of my Spanish students were cheering me on. My partner was excited for me. I have a friend who I visited Paris with who is also excited and wanted to know what I'm doing for my process. So you may find people around you are really on your team and excited that you're doing this. Maybe they'll even want to go on the journey with you, which would be so great. Obviously, we don't want to, tie ourselves to somebody where if they don't study, then you don't. But having other people in your sphere that are also excited about a language and learning are going to be great champions for you and your process. You may not get the best reaction from everybody, and that's why we can't rely upon this. This can't be, I'm going to tell my best friend, and if she doesn't react well or doesn't think I can do it, then I guess I can't do it. Well, that wouldn't help anything. But you might tell 6 people. You tell a coworker, you tell your kid, you mention this to people, and a couple of things are going to happen. The first thing is, it's out there. You have spoken into existence that you are learning Mandarin, and people are going to A, be really impressed that you're investing in yourself, and B, they're going to remember that. That's an interesting fact about you. So they're going to follow up and ask about it. You could even ask them to ask about it. So with my Spanish students, if I'm on a call with them, sometimes randomly they'll be like, so how's your French going? And that to me is part of my accountability framework where I know other people care about this. Other people know about it. I'm not the only one. So I don't just get to toil, succeed, struggle in anonymity. People know I'm doing this. They're going to follow up. They'll celebrate with me when I'm doing really well, and they will totally relate when I'm not, because these people know exactly what I'm going through since they're going through it. Other people in your life may not be going through it, but they'll also be really excited with that you're working on something, and you never know. Maybe your coworker's like, actually, I'm cutting sugar out of my diet, and it's something I'm working on tracking and creating, habits around, and so I'd love to talk more about this. You may find there are areas that you can connect with people just by being willing to put yourself out there. And yes, they will know if you don't succeed. They will know if you're not on track. It's not the end of the world. But it also creates that little bit of, I don't want to let other people down. You don't want to let yourself down either, but isn't it sometimes easier to let yourself down than other people? So use the psychology of other people are cheering for me. Other people are excited for me. So I'm excited and I'm going to do this. Using that to your advantage is a really smart skill, and it also makes you feel like you're a part of a community. If you don't have people in your life that you can do this with, Reddit and other forums online, whether you're using a tutoring platform or you're on YouTube where people are watching videos to learn your language, putting it in the chat that, hey, I'm here and I'm learning Portuguese too. Anybody else? We could be pen pals, or, you don't even have to necessarily engage with other people, but there's science behind when you speak something into existence, when you write it down, it becomes more real and other people are going to be there to cheer you on, hopefully. Now, the next thing that you might want to work on is finding some way to make sure that you don't fall back into your usual habits. Your habit of whatever you're doing in the time that you're hoping to start studying in is probably pretty strong. If every night you turn the television on as soon as dinner's over, that's going to be hard to override. You've probably done it for a long time and you've done it for a reason, like it's really soothing. So if you're going to carve the time out and make it important to do a language learning exercise that requires some brain power during a time that used to be really comforting or relaxing, or time that you were just kind of mindlessly maybe doing something else and you weren't aware of, you're overriding something deeply ingrained. So my recommendation would be come up with some way to create a delayed gratification situation or to build in some sort of a reward. I know that may feel really like, I'm not a dog, I don't need a treat. Our brains really do well with feeling good after you've done something. If you feel like your brain is about to explode every time you study, you can be as disciplined as you want to be. You're not going to stick with it very long because it's painful. Your brain doesn't want to do things that are really painful. So let's say, for instance, using that example of every night after work, after you've eaten dinner, you sit down and turn the television on. You're looking to add your language study into your evening. Holding yourself accountable might be that you put the remote underneath your stack of flashcards, your workbook. You might even ask a family member, be like, I don't want to see the remote until after I've done my study. And if you have kids, they will love hiding that from you if you ask them to. And then it will be after I've done 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. It does not need to be a lot. 15 minutes. The moment I'm about to go sit down, I think, okay, I got to go find my notebook wherever it is. Hopefully it's right where you need it to be. And you say, okay, I'm going to do my 15 minutes. And after my 15 minutes, I get the reward of the remote and I get to watch whatever I want with no guilt because I've done the hard thing already. You'll actually find that that thing you were doing just for calming and relaxation becomes a reward, and you might appreciate it even more because you're like, I earned this time in an agreement I made with myself. That's an option. Another thing might be that, if you're driving around for your commute, you say, okay, well, if I listen to a podcast on my drive home and I have a little extra time, I get to swing over and get an ice cream, or I get to, I get to have a fun coffee the next morning or something like that. Doesn't have to be highly monetary or sugar related or whatever. I mean, make sure it works for your life. But if there's something that would make you feel really celebratory, do that thing. So holding yourself accountable can feel really forceful, but it can also look like people cheering you on, you feeling good about yourself, you putting yourself out there and bonding with other people on a level you may not have been aware that they were ready to bond with you on. And it might look like eating the ice cream or sitting on the couch while mentally patting yourself on the back. So there's a lot of good that can come from accountability, but you have to remember that this is not going to be easy, and we've put things in place to make it easier. You do not have to study every single day. You have grow and coast exercises. If you're feeling kind of crappy, you're like, oh, I have a headache, it's been a long day, do a coast exercise for 5 or 10 minutes, or go for a quick walk and repeat things out loud to yourself, or make it really, really easy to get to that pat on the back and then to find that reward, whatever it might be. At the end of each month, hopefully it's something really cool. We'll talk about that. So accountability doesn't have to be hard around the edges. This is a celebration and a step towards creating a new habit that's going to stick forever.